So, here we have spawning down in the bottom right-hand position of Daedalus Point. Spawning as the red Zerg. None other than DIMAGA. And his opponent up in the top left, the blue Zerg player representing Team Liquid. It's Snute. So this is where times are going to get pretty damn fun. Because we just got out of a ZvZ and it was fairly intense. Snute held off a Ling Bling all in very effectively with some good splitting of his drones. So this game could get fairly exciting. Daedalus Point has been changed for those of you who don't know. This ramp is now just wide. Not the widest space that you've ever seen. It's just normal. Just a decent gap. So, not that it's going to make much difference in ZvZ, but it does mean that it's slightly easier to defend this natural base, because lots of people don't consider the size of ramps and stuff too much in Zerg versus Zerg. But actually on the natural it does get quite important, because creep spread isn't going to make its way down to this ramp, and therefore going for things like the double evolution chamber, Rotoron and a Queen's block isn't going to be viable here unless there's some creep spread through, so that's going to be a lot later. There's also so much more space through here, so whereas on maps with a tighter ramp or just a tighter natural base, you can have a couple of queens and a spine and defend a lot of area, whereas a spine here isn't going to stop lings from running around the back and coming into the main base. So that's some things that you need to be a little bit careful about. Gas coming down from Snute straight after the hatchery, so he's going to be going very greedy. Meanwhile, DIMAGA, he started up with a hatch first into a spawning pool, so he's going to get a later Zergling speed, but what he will have is queens up earlier, so he's got those injects sooner, a bit of added defense, and of course those lings able to hit the field fractionally before that of Snute's, but it's not by a huge amount, it's only by a couple of seconds, and just on cue, DIMAGA now adding in his own extractor straight after that. So this is where things starting to look a bit more normal, a bit more standard in terms of play, and neither player wanting to go for any big risks. It's a best of one, and you're advancing forward. For those of you who doesn't know what's on the line for a Go for SC2 Monday, it's €75, but also a guaranteed spot in the monthly Go for SC2 finals. Now that's actually a really big win, because getting that guaranteed spot means that you're in the play for considerably more money. Namely, €200 if I recall correctly. So that's quite good for a night's work, especially if you get the €75 from this as well. You're suddenly looking at €270. That's some really good money. Now, Snute coming in with an Overlord now. DIMAGA, of course, will be doing the same over on the other side of the base. Actually, DIMAGA's leaving... there we go. There's the front Overlord. Wondering where he was hiding. So keeping an eye on the two ramps. This is really nice Overlord positioning actually here, because he's able to see that natural ramp very effectively. Snute, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves it back to a similar position too. He's actually going a bit further back, but this positioning from DIMAGA is great, and being able to see the main just gives you such an earlier warning of certain things coming through, and a queen would struggle to take this off, because first, Daedalus Point has a huge ramp area, but secondly, while creep isn't over there, even if a queen were to come over, you could just run the Overlord down here and it'd be pretty safe. So lots of things to be keeping a little eye out for. Nice play by both of these two. Baneling nests are coming down bit later for DIMAGA by about 13 seconds, but not enough to really concern things for him, because Snute won't be able to get across the map and really make any plays before, obviously, DIMAGA's own Baneling Nest will be coming through. So for the moment, we are just seeing that some cool little stuff, cool little pokes and prods coming through from DIMAGA here. Snute, in terms of his vision, he's lacking a little bit more. He doesn't know about where's the Baneling Nest hiding yet. He doesn't know about the Baneling Nest. He doesn't know about gases or things like that. What he's most concerned about is the third. DIMAGA has also moved back his Overlord now, just to keep a little peek on what's coming through. Snute does have a handful of Zerglings just coming across the map. It's not that many. Setting up a 10, 6 are defensively in position for DIMAGA, as well as him getting down a Spine Crawler. So with the Spine Crawler coming down, defensive Banelings, this shouldn't be able to do too much. The Banelings are a tad late, and the Spine Crawler isn't going to be done in time, so this could be a little bit frustrating, especially since these Lings are just going to head straight up into the main base. They're going to start picking away at a couple of Zerglings, but importantly, they scout the lair, and this lair is a lot sooner than that of Snute's. A couple of drones can also go down here. This is a decent number of Speedlings. Snute also coming through with a few Banes, gets a good detonation down. A lot of these drones taking quite a sizable amount of damage. Not many workers killed as of yet, just the one for the time being. But otherwise, just keeping a small little peek on what Snute's doing. He's not adding in a layer yet, and he hasn't done critical damage. Seeing these additional 3 gases get taken really suggests that DIMAGA aiming to go up into Mutalisk play. And if Snute doesn't have a response to that, he could be getting into some dangerous spots. Yes, the Spire takes 100 seconds to get out, and you've then got to worry about producing the Mutalisks too. But Snute, for the moment, hasn't even started his lair, so he's a long way behind. What he's opting for is a quick third hatch. Now, if we do see a Spire shortly, which I am expecting, then obviously, once the Mutalisks come out, Snute will start having problems, but he can defend for a while with spores. What he can also do is go for a massive push before then, and Roach Warren is coming down, +1 Carapace is also being researched. And if we take a peek at what DIMAGA has, it's not very much in terms of defending against that sort of push, especially when you factor in the 100 seconds for the Spire, the Mutalisk production, and then of course the Mutalisks actually engaging this. This push from Snute could be out a bit faster. Not going to have road speed though, but he's already moving forward. A couple of banelings are there, the Spine Crawler moving down. Nice use of generating creep from the Overlords in order to position this Spine Crawler between the natural and the third base. Snute though pulling back a decent number of lings here. Snute does need to be a bit careful about his third. It's going to get wrapped around. Does he have enough to stop this? Well, with no baneling this, I'm not sure if he actually does at the moment. He's got to keep poking and prodding. These lings, if they were to get surrounded, would be in a lot of problems. He's got 10 roaches, 10 more zerglings coming through. The queen also on its way down. This queen will get annihilated, meaning that there's no inject at that third hatch, but the queen is already in production there. 2 queens are on both sides. But now with the roaches coming through, 1, they've been revealed, but 2, they're able to deal some nice damage. The fact they've been revealed though is fairly big. We've got DIMAGA's Spire nearly finished up. He's going to have enough gas for 8 Mutalisks pretty much instantly, and he's also got the lava for them. But those mutas take 33 seconds, adding on to the 100 already there. That's going to seem like an eternity as we see Snute start making his way across the map. A couple of zerglings able to catch a handful of roaches. Not going to do that much damage. Of course, roaches do take a fair bit of a beating, but the ling wars are, for the moment, going in DIMAGA's favour. However, the roaches, the majority of the roaches made their way forward. The third base of DIMAGA could be running into problems now. Snute does have the +1 Carapace upgrade and +1 missile attack on its way, but now the Mutalisks are seen. Snute as well taking a lot of damage at that third hatch, managing to keep it up. If he can take out DIMAGA's third, he limits the number of Mutalisks that will be produced by denying this 5th and 6th gas. But he is not going to be successful in doing that. The Mutalisks able to take down those remaining roaches. And now DIMAGA looking in a very nice spot. He's up slightly in the drone count by 5. Multiple spore crawlers have been forced out of Snute at the moment. Incidentally, 5 of them. That's where the drone difference came. But what we've got to see Snute do now is find a way to deal with these Mutalisks. And spores and queens will be a nice little way to buy some time, but they won't be a long-term solution. Snute also desperately really needs to take out this third hatch, and the reason for that is because of this 5th and 6th gas. It's about 200 more gas a minute, and with that, that's a lot more Mutalisks. That's 2 more Mutalisks per minute for you. The hatch was protected very nicely by these mutas and also some lings, but a stream of zerglings coming up into the natural base do get a queen. That's going to hurt the inject, reduce the lava count, and also draw the Mutalisks back up into the main base. You can see that the road drone coming down now for DIMAGA. He's adding in a Spine Crawler just to try and save himself from this. Snute prioritizing the drones on gas just to minimize the gas income for his red opponent. But if we actually take a quick little peek at those incomes, we can see that already DIMAGA way up on it. Snute not mining this 5th and 6th gas as of yet. He is adding in pathogen glands though, and this is a very cool way to try and deal with Mutalisks. If you get good fungals on a group of Mutalisks when they're over a spore crawler, watch them evaporate. They disappear before your very eyes, and that's exactly what Snook's going to be gunning for here. He can start up Infested Protection now. Once it's 30 seconds through pathogen glands, they will spawn with the additional energy, because of course Infestors take 50 seconds to hit the field. But for the moment, these Mutalisks trying to find an avenue of attack will be able to pick away at this extractor. And this is one of the difficulties of using spore crawlers to defend against Mutalisks, is that they will always find a little avenue of attack that just sneaks on through, such as here. There's vulnerabilities all over Snoot's base unless he makes a gazillion spores very early. So now the Mutalisks just going to be pooling around, going to try and do any damage that they're able to. Already, DIMAGA's got a good count. Currently sitting up at 14 mutas. The first Infestors going to be hitting the field shortly. That's where the fungal growth threat will start hitting, and really where we'll see DIMAGA having to be a lot more cautious with how he uses those mutas, specifically getting good splits on them. Up though for Snute. He's just adding in those gases that he lost previously, trying to get the +2 missile attack, and very reliant on Queens and Infestors to deal with the airborne harassment that DIMAGA is currently throwing at him. Supplies are in DIMAGA's favour at the moment, although the work account looking good for Snute. So it all comes down to who's going to be able to get the kind of deadly blow. If Snute were able to get a big fungal growth down on this Mutaflock, it could be lights out for DIMAGA. But until this Hydroden's finished, and he has actually some more substantial anti-air, mobile anti-air that is, DIMAGA's just got free reign of the map. He can be darting left, right, picking off these expansions. This hatchery, no way that's going down with so many Mutalisks on the field. Gets cancelled. DIMAGA can look to take his own 4th. And Snute would somewhat struggle to try and deal with it, because if he moves out and DIMAGA sees it, which he should do with good map control, he just intercepts the force and takes or deals really massive losses to it before it even tries to take down an expansion. And that's really what DIMAGA's aim is going to be. Snute, though, he's playing it smart, taking a different 4th to the one he attempted first, trying to avoid the Mutalisks detecting it and trying to take it out. But it may not be enough, because now we see, with a huge swell of roaches, 41 of them on the field, DIMAGA is moving forward. The Infestors looking to get a fungal growth, but already good splits from these Mutalisks. The supply count doesn't really tell the whole story because there's so many roaches out for DIMAGA. That's very supply inefficient. The upgrade's also looking good for Snute, but the engagement coming in, a good flank. The fungal growth are going to have to be solid, and that they are. Big fungals on so many of these roaches. The Mutalisks, though, adding in a lot of additional DPS. Hydralisks in production, more roaches in production, but DIMAGA just seems to have so many numbers at the moment. The entire flock of Mutalisks, though, appear to have gone down or been pulled back. Jake, unfortunately, they have all died, and the roach count for Snute is actually looking pretty solid. With the aid of those Hydras, they're popping just in time, throwing in their massive DPS, forcing DIMAGA back, and the fact that he's lost those Mutalisks is really going to cause him a problem, because he's behind in ground upgrades and ground tech with those Hydras down. The Infestors also managed to stay up. Their energy's pretty low, but they'll have fungal growths before you know it. So Snute looking quite strong here. He's got his 4th base up, but this is no means a game over for DIMAGA. He's still got a solid work account. He's still got good ground presence and his 4th base there. Pushing on in, and he's got to be a little bit cautious. These Infestors going to have enough energy for a fungal growth shortly. The Hydras just dishing out so much damage as well. Snute with a much better concave now coming in from behind. GG, good luck is called, and Snute advances forward into the next round over DIMAGA.